Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for making your way here to the Minneapolis Institute of Arts and for coming this afternoon to see Hend Al-Mansour and I in conversation and for our beautiful poetry reading with Yara Omer. Okay, I was just making sure I pronounced her name correctly because this is our first time meeting today. We've been emailing all week long. My name is Nicole Soukup, and I am the supervisor of the Minneapolis Institute of Art program, the Minnesota Artist Exhibition Program. The MAEP is celebrating its 50th anniversary this fall, and I will share more details shortly about our upcoming reception. But first, it is my pleasure, my honor, to welcome today's featured artist, Hend Al-Mansour, a Saudi American artist whose work explores memory, identity, and the lived experiences of Arab and Arab American women. Before we begin our conversation with Hend, I am also incredibly honored to introduce Yara. Yara is a gifted poet whose work centers themes of identity, culture, belonging, and hope. Most importantly of all, hope. It is a perfect prelude to our discussion today as it sets the tone for our conversation and mirrors the themes found in Hend's exhibition, Mihrabs, Portraits of Arab American Women in the US Bank Gallery. Hend's journey to becoming an artist is as remarkable as the work she creates. We'll save most of her journey for our conversation today. Needless to say, she's received international accolades and has exhibited both here in the region and internationally. Hend received her MFA from the Minneapolis College of Art and Design and an MA from the University of St. Thomas in St. Paul. Her multidisciplinary practice includes printmaking, sculpture, installation, animation, and public art, and so much more that the list would be too long to recite today. What makes her work especially compelling is how she merges traditional Islamic design, like intricate patterns, Arabic calligraphy, sign language, architectural forms, with contemporary, deeply personal storytelling. Her newest installation, titled Living Threads, continues her ongoing Mihrab series. Again, this is part of her ongoing exhibition, now on view in the US Bank Gallery. Hend's exhibition runs through October 27th. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our generous sponsorship by RBC Foundation. Without their support and support like members, like many of you, this program and many of the programs here at the Minneapolis Institute of Arts would not be possible. So thank you. And finally, a quick reminder, because I know I would need it, please silence your phones or set them to vibrate. My last note is that our 50th anniversary party will be on October 10th, which is a Friday, 6 to 8 p.m. Tickets go on sale for free, so reservations go on sale this Wednesday. Now please join me in welcoming Yara for her poetry reading.
Wherever I go, I have an accent that is distinct from the locals. Being the product of forced and self-imposed displacement, I wear the banner that welcomes the "where are you really from?" question. I've been asked enough times that I start wondering myself. Once one leaves their home, their seat either disappears and they cannot rejoin the table, or it no longer fits them, and their return attracts pity and resentment. Either way, they have nowhere to rest their worn-out heart. Their new home, if they dare call it that, either gives them a chair with a stranger's status or leaves them standing in a room full of others who politely do not see them. With multiple homes to claim and neither granting full membership, one soul is left desolate. And without a delicate self-accepting and a will to carry a seat wherever they go, the soul withers away between the past and the present, leaving the future in limbo. The octopus, Al-Akhtabut. Arabic will be followed by the translation of English, so bear with me if Arabic is not the language of your heart. Al-Akhtabut. للأخطبوط ثلاثة قلوب. هل يسهل عليه أن يكون حيث يشاء؟ لي قلب ممزق الأشلاء. يريد أن يكون في أي مكان سوى هنا، أيا كان هذا الهنا. وكأن جسدي وروحي لا تتفقان. حيثما أكون يفكر قلبي بمكان آخر. My heart is at odds with my body. It takes it to places, looks for the nearest exit, yet begs to stay. Could my spirit be that of an octopus? My three hearts trapped in my earth suit, each yearning to be somewhere else, with someone else, doing something else, and still be here. Would I be more put together as an octopus? O Moon. I wrote this one and it was translated by Nashwa Nasruddin and it was published in the Gaza Journal by the Arablet. Again, the Arabic is translated right after. يا أيها القمر أنا أذوب ولا أفيد أحداً باحتراقي شمعة في حجرة لا يراها أحد لا ينتفع من ضوئها أحد لا يشتم رائحة موتها أحد ولا يحزن على انطفائها أحد. O moon, a candle in an empty room, there is no use to my burning, no use to these last dregs of light. No one will breathe the stench of my death. No one will grieve. يا أيها القمر أظنك رأيت ما أرى الآن آلاف المرات عبر السنين. كيف ترى ما ترى وتبقى كما أنت. كيف تتابع بزوغك وغروبك وتظل قادراً على عكس ضوء الشمس الذي يشرق على دماء ويمسي على دموع. O moon, I expect you've witnessed what I have seen 1,000 times over. So how do you not yield? How can you keep rising and setting, reflecting the rays of a sun that emerges from a sea of blood and sets on a bed of tears? يا أيها القمر لا أجد مخرجاً مما نحن فيه إما أن نقتل أو نقتل. هي الرصاصة أو المدفعية أو القنبلة أو العطش أو الجوع. وإن نجونا اليوم فالغد لا يحمل إلا رصاصة أو مدفعية أو قنبلة أو عطشاً أو جوعا. O moon, I see no way out, either be killed or be killed, by starvation or shells, bullets and bombs, and if we survive today, then tomorrow holds the same options for dying. يا أيها القمر نحن مبعثرون في كل بقاع الأرض وجذورنا تجد دائما الطريق إلى ترابها. لدينا مفاتيح صدأت من كثرة ما نظفناها ترقبا للعودة. لدينا قصائد وقصص وروايات وأغاني ووصايا كتبها الأطفال تحسبا للموت. نعم جميعها مترجمة إلى كل لغات البشر. O moon, though we're scattered in all corners of the world, our roots always find their way home. We have keys that have been polished to rust. We have our poetry, our story, our song. Our children have written their wills, and they too are translated into every tongue. يا أيها القمر أيحق فينا قول الملائكة أننا سنفسد في الأرض ونسفك الدماء. بعضها يسفكها بسلاحه، بعضنا يسفكها بقلمه، وبعضنا يسفكها بصمته. O moon, is it true that what the angels have said about humankind, that we would commit corruption and bloodshed? Some of us shed it with our weapons, some with our pens, and some with our silence. This last piece was written after experiencing a beautiful workshop with the amazing Andrea Shaker. It was about how to write a postcard from home. I also had the pleasure of working with, did I say Andrea Shaker, I'm sorry. And I had the pleasure of being with Sagira Shahid there. I mentioned them because I'm sure pieces of them are in this poem. Tethered smoke. Write a greeting on a postcard from home, the task was. What home? I have a home that smells like tea, that has a living room and a kitchen, and streets with kids playing soccer, a home that is built on 7 hills, crowded with houses and love stories as old as life itself. I have a home that has a fireplace in a garage and open mics around the corners and star watching parties and Orion and Vega and the North Star watching over me every night, a home that is as close to the heavens as it can get. I have a home that is quiet and calm, but sometimes it's everywhere but here. A home that I carry like a turtle's shell, that allows me to dream walk, that has no boundaries, no borders, and requires no papers. A home as vast and free as the bottom of the ocean. I have many homes, but no homeland. My homeland is an umbilical cord around my neck I refuse to cut. An inheritance I carry, even though it is breaking my back. A place I visit only in my imagination, a part of this world that I am tethered to, like a boomerang, like a smoke near fire. What should I write on a postcard from home? On a postcard, I might write, I miss the silence with the people I love. You see, silence does not exist outside of the physical space. Or I could say the buzzing of the drones should be banished from the library of sounds. How about distance is a physical constraint that the heart does not recognize? But what I really want to say to those of multiple homes, you're not alone. We're all dukhan marbut. We're all tethered smoke. Shukran. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you, Yara. That was beautiful. This is when I found out this clicker works after I reconnected everything on my laptop. So thank you all for bearing witness to that miracle. And thank you so much for joining us this Sunday afternoon and for gifting us this beautiful exhibition. Why don't we take a moment to just, and you've told the story many times, but where do you see the start of your artistic practice? When did you find yourself thinking of yourself as an artist?
Is it working? Oh, I mean, all artists, or most artists say we have been doing art all our lives. And that's what I would say. I knew that I'm inclined to art since childhood, but I really didn't pursue it as a career or a full-time job until I came to the US, and that was in 1997. When I was in Saudi Arabia, I made art that was inspired by Western art. I did not feel like local art or Islamic art is art, because there, it wasn't called art. I don't know, and I wasn't aware of it. And when I came here, I find myself gravitated towards Islamic art aesthetics and Islamic art, and also found my voice absent. I longed to to see my community represented, to find myself in the art around me, and I didn't find it. So that's why I went to express myself using Islamic aesthetics. And I don't know if this answers your question.
More than.
Okay.
So on the screen here, I have an installation from the exhibition Blue Roots from 2019. And one of the things I find most beautiful and interesting about your practice is the way that you're able to think through the works and how they're presented or represented. And I'm wondering if you could let us into, like, open the door into your studio a little bit, because painting, screen printing, murals, the list goes on, animation now. Can you tell us a bit more about how you work? Where do you start? Do you start with a sketch? Do you start with a concept? And do you see these multiple lives for each work?
All of the above. I feel sometimes I start with an idea, sometimes I start with a sketch, sometimes I always have a goal, though. I start with having a goal, and then when I start making art, the goal shifts. I get inspired. Somebody suggested something, so I just follow what you know, my intuition feels right. Usually, I doodle a lot, pencil and paper. And if I like something, I scanned it and turn it into digital, and then maybe it will turn into a work or not. More recently, I found myself gravitating toward digital drawing, especially with my inclination towards animation, because that's how I did animation digitally. And when I was at MCAD as a student, I majored in painting and then did some installations. But after I've left MCAD, I fell in love with screen printing, and I started doing screen printing and learned it with somebody just one-on-one, and I just used it all the time. It's my, I would say, my medium of choice. And all these okay, this is me screen printing here. All these installations are made with screen printing over either paper or rolls of fabrics. And the interesting thing here is I don't really see my work in my studio because I do it in small pieces, and I had just to imagine it. And when I exhibit it, then I see it and feel like if I want to make some changes, I can see that. And the 3 small installations in the gallery are actually were exhibited several times. And every time I see what I need to do, and then I kind of refine it or add to it or something like that. So.
Yeah, so every time it's unique.
I guess, yeah.
And so we'll dive more into the exhibition here at MIA, but I'm just going to quickly flip through these 2-3 images are not part of the installation here at MIA. I'm having trouble with my laptop. It'll go to my colleagues in technology on Monday morning first thing. But I think it speaks to the importance of women in your practice, and also memory. Whether it's nostalgia, historical memory, or even erasure of women from historical narratives, or even from contemporary narratives. You bring in personal stories through things like architecture, patterns, color, Quranic script. What is it about memory, and in particular, women, the narrative of women and memory and nostalgia for you that really inspires you?
I always carry memories, childhood memories of my growing up in Saudi Arabia. And I grew up in a woman's space a big house, a lot of women. Those women were really powerful, smart, resourceful, but at the same time, it was taken for granted that they were less than men. And that was my motivation to talk about gender justice and about women as equal people, like full human beings. And so I haven't really done work about those women specifically yet, but they are always there behind my paintings and artwork. They're like my goddesses, art goddesses. Yeah, I like a lot to talk about goddesses and make art about goddesses.
And this work in particular, I believe, is inspired by pre-Islamic Arabic mythology. And we could spend hours talking about that series of work, but I want to talk about one work that we weren't able to fit into the gallery because it would have taken over half of the south room. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about the eagle?
This is a commission by New Arab American Theater Works, and it was made for a play called Dhafira and the Resistance. And it was, the idea was a collaborative work of me and the director and other people. And I thought that we are as Arab American, we are part of America. And the eagle is kind of like representative of America. So I wanted to make an eagle that has a lot of Arabic symbolism, and also there is the writing, the pen for writers, and the olive branch, and then there are details of Arab or Islamic art within it. There is a poem by Bob Dylan, who, let me see if I remember. The one who is not busy being born is busy dying. And I love that poem a lot. So I wrote it in Arabic. So I just wanted to make people feel like we are part of this community, we are part of the culture, even though we have another homeland and another place we grow up. Now we are here, we're part of you.
I think that's a really great place then to transition into two recent works that also would not fit in the gallery because they are murals. So again, larger than life. Coming Home, and then I'll also show Faces of Minneapolis. Is that also what drives you to make these beautiful, they're becoming iconic, really, murals in St. Paul?
Yes, it's the same theme. First of all, I wanted to portray this from a woman's perspective, both the immigrant here and the immigrant, the offspring of an immigrant from all time. They both are women. How the woman on the left received the woman on the right, and how I wanted to depict fear and anticipation and also curiosity. And I wanted them to be not like enemies, but like we want to meet each other and to know more about each other. And I call it Coming Home.
Yeah, go ahead and clap. And this work, which is in Minneapolis, Faces of Minneapolis, you show different perspectives of creativity, joy. What is it about joy that is so necessary to be depicted?
This piece was about healing, and joy is necessary for healing. You have to be happy in order to heal. And I was giving the theme of healing and to do this also commissioned mural. And I thought of 5 careers or professions that bring healing to our community. And it's a nurse, an artist, an activist, a teacher, and environmentalist. And each one is from different background, racially. But all of them are local, are, part of this community. Also, I wanted to paint women because they're not represented enough, so.
I think that bears repeating that joy is necessary for healing. I think without it, it's just survival. And I think that's what makes your work so potent, so powerful. And that kind of brings us back into this kind of moment here with the exhibition. And so this is the entrance to US Bank Gallery. If you haven't been, look for the door. If you've hit the Native American galleries, you've gone too far down the hall. So just turn around. And what inspired these series of rooms? Several years ago, you made the first 3, and then for the exhibition here, you made Living Threads. What inspired, because you spent, I say hours, but tens, maybe even nearly hundreds of hours with these women.
I had a project before this called Fatima in America, and I did the same thing. I interviewed women around me and tried to represent their spirit. And this one, what motivated me was I wanted to bring gender justice in Islamic community. And it's, gender or mistreatment of women is universal. But because I lived in Saudi Arabia and experienced firsthand that practice, I always feel like I have to talk about it and kind of like a mission, I don't know. I feel pulled towards that goal. So when I wanted to make this work, I wanted to make it from a platform of faith, because it's always in Arabic communities, faith is the base of daily life. And if I want to bring anything to discuss, it has to be from that forum. To bring the mindset to where people are, I wanted to talk to them in their I don't know, their space. Although I'm here, and maybe they will never visit my exhibit, but I feel that pull, and I'm sure a lot of people identify with it, and it's, as I said, universal. So I met a few women, and who not everybody agreed to meet with me and talk about their lives. But some did, and I had a really exciting time with them, and they opened their hearts to me. They showed me their houses. They talked about their lives. And I didn't really go any place they don't want to go, just follow what their lead and what they want to talk about. And I tried to portray their essence and not necessarily the exact portrait of their faces, but how I feel about them, and how they project, to me. And some of them liked, what they felt that's what they feel that who they are. So that was good.
It's also, oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut
I
you off.
want to mention something about the latest edition, the Living Threads. I want to thank all people who helped me, and I know some people are sitting there, Laura and Mary. They helped me in this, but I also want to thank one person. He's not here, William Noor. He would come for weeks and stayed for days, helping me screen printing for free, diligently. And I'm so much in debt to him. Okay, now you can.
Okay, yes, please clap. Clap for everybody. Yeah, it was a feat of teamwork. We asked you a lot of questions before Living Threads came into the building, because some of our crew were trying to, it was a little bit of an anathema, or they couldn't quite wrap their heads around it as to like what was coming in the building. The MAEP program is a unique program. It is the only one in the United States that is and has been juried by artists from the community who select who gets to exhibit here in the museum. It's why my title is not curator. I'm coordinator or supervisor, because it's really artist driven, and so it requires a little, speaking of faith with the artists, faith with everybody else to make everything happen and go up and look astonishingly beautiful. But it starts with Hend's vision. And so thank you, Hend. But since we're here, and so I have to ask you the question that I get asked the most. Day glow colors and black light. What inspired the black light and the constellations?
Okay. First of all, the woman who inspired this work surprised me with her multifaceted interests, and I discovered that she also loved astronomy. So it's a discovery, and I wanted it to be a discovery for the viewers, that they, and it's like when you meet somebody new and you know them, and you get to know them more, then you discover something that might surprise you, and they just like become three-dimensional people. That is one thing. The other thing was I was in a workshop that did Islamic design with stars, and they did the splatter watercolor for the stars, and it was small, but the overall effect looked charming, and I wanted to make it in a big scale. So I actually did this one was Pleiades, or the Seven Sisters astronomy, and I discussed it with the woman, and she knows about it, and she told me what it is, and so I decided I like the name Seven Sisters, and so I had this behind this geometric design. I called it Islamic Cosmos.
That's powerful in and of itself, especially when you think about the history of cosmology and how much of that was preserved, learned through Arabic culture, and I don't think that's widely known in the West. And also, it's amazingly beautiful. Typically when people think of black light, they think back to their college experiences, and that is not this. There is no velvet involved. But I also want to pause on this exterior. One of the things that is quite, even in this conversation, we've said Arabic broadly, and Arabic, for those who don't know, there's Saudi Arabia, and then there's Arabic languages, which encompasses more than half the world's population. And so what I think is so incredible, Hend, is that you also dive deep with specific patterns to each of the cultures or nations represented here with Palestine. It's you get the embroidery that is so beautifully wrought from that culture, and the pattern of star making and floral pattern is very heavily geometric, as opposed to something like Blue Roots, where for me, I think of the blue in Morocco. The city of Fez is green, and there are other cities that are blue. How much do you find yourself doing in terms of art historical research, history research? Your role is artist and almost anthropologist.
Yeah. As you said, each Arabic country has their different aesthetics, and also there is the overall Islamic aesthetics, Islamic art. They all share certain vocabulary, but each one of them has its own flavor. And I know from my childhood and from growing up the different flavors, but of course for each one I would go and see images and look at Islamic art books. And specifically for the last one, I relied heavily on the Dome of the Rock architecture. It's an octagon, and there is a lot of blue in it, and the dome is golden.
I'm going to flip back a screen here so you can see the back. So when you enter the gallery, you see this side of it, and you enter through, or you come around to see this portrayal.
Yeah. There is the motif on the panels here are taken from the inside of the Dome of the Rock. Not exactly what it is, but just an imitation of it. It's a mosaic. That's why I have it kind of like mosaic shape, but all here is screen printed. And then on the back there are the embroidery was it's not a real embroidery, it's screen printing with different layers to give the illusion of embroidery. One is the Star of Bethlehem. It's a very common motif in Palestinian villages and towns. And in Palestine, I learned this I joined a workshop for embroidery, and I read a lot of books about Palestinian embroidery specifically. And they have, every town has different interpretation of the Star of Bethlehem, and also of the one on the right, like a tree, the blue. It's the cypress tree, or sometimes they call it tree of life. Yes, this one here. And this is the Gaza style. That's the interpretation of their cypress tree. And the dress on the left is the design, one of the designs of Palestinian dresses. I meant to make more of the embroidery, but there's a lot there, so I didn't need more. But what else? I can talk about the sign language here. It's a word. And then on the lower right side, identity. Identity, yes. Can you make the sign for everybody? Okay, yeah. On the lower left side. What else? And this is freedom. What the woman is doing.
That's really powerful, considering the recent news, but also the long history, the last 100 years of the region. Hend, is there anything that you would want people to take away from this exhibition?
This is always the hard question for me.
No pressure.
Art is a tool of expression. I have something to say, but not necessarily everybody will read it the same way I intended. And that's fine. I just want people to see themselves in the work and to have the meaning that speaks to them, reflect, maybe call of looking inside themselves. I just want a moment of thinking, reflection, that's all. Whatever that leads them to.
I think that is almost the perfect place to stop, but I want to ask a couple of other maybe Stephen Colbert-esque rapid-fire questions. Not to put you on the spot, but since we have the opportunity and a spotlight. So, Hend, what is the one thing that you're sick of talking about as an artist?
Career shift.
Yeah. Career shift.
I shouldn't have mentioned it.
We'll leave it at that. And if people want more information, you can go to her website. What is the one thing that you wish you could learn? Media, practice, technique?
Oh, that's a long list. So I want to know French, calligraphy, oud. What else? Clay. And I'm learning animation, so I'm doing one of my dreams.
What brought you to animation?
I don't know really, but I think because it's people look at a lot of animation and it draws attention. It makes bring life to work. And I started with an animation of one of my already made screen print, and I made it move. So I just like make it another dimension to what I want to say.
And so for folks who have not seen the exhibition, I'm just going to go back a few slides here. You can see the animation in this room right here. And it does start with a cat. And so who is the cat inspiration?
My cat, of course. I have 2 cats at home. And I don't know what she thought when I was taking photos of her.
Is there often, and the title is staring contest, is there, not to put you or your husband on the spot, but is there often a staring contest with your cat? There is in my house, full disclosure.
No, not really. My cat actually is shy. Whenever somebody stares at her, she looks down. One of them, at least.
Where do you see your practice heading in the next year? Do you have anything on the horizon?
I'm working on an animation.
A long feature one?
No. I can't make long feature one. No, that's too ambitious. I'll make like maybe 2 minutes, 1 minute. It takes a lot. I mean, animation, if you want to make a feature, you have to have hundreds of people working on it. I'm the only person, so it will be just 1 minute.
I'm going to push back on that. You hired a musician for this animation, for Staring Contest. How did you encounter their work?
We were part of Yalla Drum group. It's a drumming group that is carried at the New Arab American Theater Works. And he's a gifted musician. And I loved his work. And I knew that he's going to do a good job. So I asked him to do it, and he did.
And his name was?
Robert Lamb. Lemon, sorry. Well, is he here? No, okay.
Pressure is off for the moment. And then just 2 last questions that I have for you, Hend. If there's one place you could exhibit that you haven't, or maybe you have already, where would you like to exhibit your work? Anywhere in the world, no pressure. There's a lot of pressure in this Q&A.
I know, but I would love to exhibit it in Saudi Arabia. Because this is like the inspiration and the audience in mind.
It's okay, so now I have 2 more questions. Do you think it is possible? Do you think it would be possible to, as other countries are now embracing contemporary art and...
Not possible. I don't think so. Why? Let me see.
You don't have to answer why if you don't want to, but...
I think big reason is having a figure next to Islamic shrine-like, especially woman's figure. So
yeah, that's understandable. My last question is tied back to, and just to kind of summarize a lot of this, what is an audience for you? So much of your work is imbued in personal narratives and memories, and sharing that seems to be an important component. What is it about that drives this component of making public the artwork?
I have, like, as I said, the audience, maybe it's those women in my childhood. This is my primary audience. And I don't think of audience really when I make the art. I think of what I want to say out loud. And I am here with audience who don't speak Arabic, most of them don't know what I'm talking about. And I have to explain. So that's another level of my dilemma, that I have to interpret, explain, say what this means. And there is part of it that is visually accessible. There is a lot of it that is not. So I am in kind of like a bridge. As Yara was talking about home, where is home? You know, in every place you have a home, but you don't have a home.
There's a lot to unpack there, but I think in the spirit of not needing to know everything, because I think that is I think there is an ethos in the history of European and Western culture, a desire to that everything must be explained, the encyclopedia. Yet not everything needs to be. There is something that anthropologists call insider and outsider. You're never on the fence. You're either in a culture or you're outside of a culture. You might be very expert in that culture, but it's okay to not know everything.
Yes, and I think not knowing Arabic is a different, like if you know Arabic, you kind of like be occupied by what it means. But if you don't know it, you will be occupied by how it looks, what feeling it can produce in you. So it's a totally different take of the interpretation of the work.
And I also think getting back to cultural specificity, because my introduction to Arabic was in Morocco, where every other word is also French, Italian, German, English, and then maybe they'll come back around to Arabic if they know that they have to talk to somebody or, or another person comes by. But it's a lot of the North African countries are hybrid languages, and so I think again getting into that specificity, but we'll leave it there for today's conversation. And so, yeah, we don't need to. This was only an hour long, and it's a beautiful Sunday out. Hend, thank you. Yara, thank you. Thank you to everyone who's been here today.
Thank you.
I will end by saying Hend and I will make our way briefly to the gallery. If anyone has any questions, feel free to meet us out there. Just because the theater was built in the 1930s, there's not a lot of space for folks coming back and forth from the front. So we will see you shortly. Thank you all. The show ends in October 27th. Thank you.